The summit had ended with the usual fanfare. Holographic fireworks that disobeyed physics for the sake of flair, synchronized gravity modulation, to give everyone one last dignified bounce on their way out. And a 3-minute anthem performed by a choir of methane-based life forms, who insisted on translating every syllable into 6 languages mid-note. Everyone clapped, though not always for the same reason. Marcus Halliday lingered. He always did. Not because of duty, Earth's diplomatic mission had wrapped neatly 2 hours ago, but because of habit. He wasn't a man to rush away from a place until he understood its exits, its smells, its patterns. He wandered the wide observation deck, sipping lukewarm synthebrew from a triangular mug with a handle that mocked his fingers. The Earth delegation had already boarded their shuttle back to Canberra's Voice. No one had noticed he was missing, not even the AI that monitored health vitals with obsessive concern. It had simply beeped, reminded him that 3 cups of synthebrew exceeded recommended dosage for species with soft kidneys, and logged his pulse with a passive-aggressive shrug. He turned as the soft resonance of footsteps approached, light, rhythmic, accompanied by the faint rustle of organic silks, the sound of someone who'd never had to check if she was allowed to enter a room. Still here. Her voice was low, textured like wind through a crystal forest. He smiled, still waiting for the fireworks to get a second encore, or maybe for gravity to hiccup again. Queen Valera raised an eyebrow, the gesture subtle but impossible to miss. Earth humor, it fascinates me. You say that like it's contagious. It is. I caught sarcasm from you last cycle and haven't recovered since. She stopped beside him, her silhouette framed by the glass arc of the viewport. Beyond it, the gas giant Toron V shimmered with violet storms and turquoise rings that drifted like scattered thoughts. The lights danced across her skin, a gentle interplay of reflection and depth. Her long ears, softly curved and slightly iridescent, twitched once, then settled. I thought you'd left with the rest of your kind, she said. I don't leave until someone pries the coffee out of my hand. And even then, it better be someone strong. That explains the stains in the diplomatic gallery. There was a beat, then he laughed, and to his surprise she did too. A short, crystalline sound that made the observation deck feel less like a corridor of formality and more like a secret shared between strangers. Can I ask you something? He said. You can always ask. Whether I answer depends on the temperature of the question. He gestured to the empty deck around them. You don't have guards, advisors, not even a board protocol droid with too many directives. I dismissed them. Why? So I could say something I'm not permitted to say when the eyes of my empire are upon me. She turned then, slowly, as if even the act of facing him required permission from muscles trained in elegance. Her gaze was steady. Her voice dropped. I am not as beautiful as human women. He blinked, not in shock, not in confusion, just in reflex, as if his brain needed a restart. The weight of her words didn't match the silence that followed them. There was no drama, no flourish, just the simple gravity of a truth carried too long. That is not a temperature I expected, he said at last. A faint smile tugged at the corners of her mouth. Your response is delightfully evasive. I'm a linguist. Evasion is my birthright. He set his mug down on the railing. It immediately tried to walk away. Sentient furniture was fashionable in this quadrant, and he casually reached out to pin it in place. Why tell me? He asked. Because you stare. He didn't deny it. She stepped closer. Her posture remained regal, but her voice softened. Elenthran biology diverged from baseline humanoid structure thousands of cycles ago. Our ears mark us. Our eyes glow when we lie. Our skin cannot mimic emotion through pallor or flush. We are immutable, cold, some say. Even our tears crystallize. You cry crystals. Shards, usually opalescent, we collect them. I suddenly feel underevolved. Valera looked at him as if weighing something against a scale only she could see. Then, after a long moment, she said, Human men look at me like I am an object of diplomacy. something to admire from a distance but never touch. You look as if you're trying to memorize the shape of my thoughts." He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "That's either the most poetic thing anyone's ever said to me or a very subtle threat. I prefer ambiguity." He chuckled. "And I prefer honesty, so let me try it. I don't think you're less beautiful. I think we've been measuring with broken rulers." She tilted her head. "Explain." He leaned against the railing. "You ever seen Earth's fashion history? We used to put powdered wigs on our heads, wear corsets that crushed our ribs, and considered being pale a sign of nobility, because it meant you didn't have to work in the sun. That sounds deeply inefficient." It was, but we called it beautiful, until we didn't. And then we moved on to something else. Our standard of beauty changes faster than our planetary climate. She hesitated. "Then why do your people still look at me like I'm other?" "Because we're bad at multitasking, and our eyes haven't caught up with our brains." She went quiet. He could hear her breath, soft, regulated, like someone used to breathing for performance, not relief. He let the silence stretch, not to fill it but to let it be. "I'm supposed to return to my vessel soon," she said. "Want me to walk you there?" "No, I want to walk slowly." He matched her pace as they left the observation deck. Behind them, the stars continued to spin, unbothered by biology or politics or the shape of anyone's ears. The corridor lights dimmed automatically, setting a twilight mood that neither of them acknowledged but both accepted. As they turned a corner, a cleaning drone chirped a greeting in binary. Marcus waved. "Do all your drones speak in haiku?" he asked. They were programmed by an Elenthrine poet who failed his engineering exam. So he took revenge on the entire sanitation department. It was his graduation project. They walked a little farther. She stopped again. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not looking away." He didn't say anything. He just kept walking beside her. Marcus followed Queen Valera through the airlock of the Light of Vareth, with the hesitant gait of a man unsure whether he was stepping into a sacred temple or a very large, very judgmental jellyfish. The ramp beneath his boots hummed, not mechanically but musically, with what he swore was the opening bars of an old Earth lullaby. "Did your ship just serenade me?" "It recognizes unfamiliar biometrics," Valera said, her voice calm as always. "It hums when it's curious. I hope curiosity doesn't escalate into interpretive dance. I've seen that happen, once, in orbit. It ended poorly for everyone involved." The ship's entrance corridor curved inwards like a spiraled shell, pulsing faintly with veins of bioluminescence that moved under the surface like drifting ink. The air felt filtered, not sterile, like walking through the lungs of something that chose to breathe them in. "It's alive, isn't it?" Marcus said. "Yes, genetically cultivated and neurally bonded with my family line. It's more than a ship." "Right, so like a pet spaceship, but royal." "It will be offended if you refer to it as a pet." "Noted. I'll stick to highly sentient mobile architecture." The corridor opened into a wide chamber lined with crystalline nodes, each pulsing gently in alternating hues. In the center floated a spherical mass, a gelatinous creature with a dozen translucent tendrils, its core blinking like a heartbeat. "This is Keliver," Valera said, "ship's co-navigator, energy harmonics analyst, and composer of the welcome theme you just heard." "Does Keliver speak?" The sphere pulsed once. Then a mechanical voice issued from a nearby wall. "Welcome, humanoid designate Marcus. Please do not shed flakes of dead skin on the memory conduits." Marcus cleared his throat. "I'll do my best." Keliver emitted a ripple of mint-green light. Valera inclined her head politely. "It appreciates your compliance." Marcus took in the sight, blinking at a node that winked at him. "How much of this ship is self-aware?" "Only the areas you'll find unnerving." "Perfect, so everything but the closets." "Especially the closets." They walked again, deeper into the ship. The walls adjusted their curve, always spacious enough for Valera's stride but subtly narrower for Marcus, as if sizing him. Doors opened before them with a soft intake of breath. "I feel like I'm walking through someone's dreams," he murmured. Valera smiled faintly. "That's the intention." The hallway opened into a chamber that stretched vertically instead of horizontally, spiraling walkways climbing up through a hollow cylinder that shimmered with airborne light pollen. Strange fish-like organisms floated between platforms, tethered by faint streams of gravity thread. "This is the core garden," Valera said. "We grow decisions here." Marcus tilted his head. "You mean food?" "No. Political, strategic, and emotional decisions. The core acts as a sentient archive, feeding on possibility. As ideas form, they crystallize." A gentle tinkling sounded beside them, as a small cluster of suspended thought flowers burst into color. "You're kidding. I don't possess that particular Earth instinct." "I'm going to pretend you're kidding anyway, just for my mental health." Valera stopped beside a floating platform, gesturing for him to step on. The platform rose silently, guided by invisible force. Marcus tried not to wobble. "Has anyone ever fallen off one of these?" he asked. "Yes, but they were caught." "By what?" The platform trembled slightly. A deep hum issued from the garden floor. "By the ship's disappointment." "Good. My own mother's disappointment already hovers over me like a satellite. I can add one more." They arrived at a walkway lined with circular apertures. Valera gestured to one. "This is the reflection chamber." Inside, a low table, a single seat, and a mirror, not glass, but a surface that shimmered like the inside of an abalone shell. Marcus stepped closer. "It doesn't show your appearance," she said. "It shows how others have seen you. Not one view, but an average impression over time." He frowned, "Like a psychological composite." "Precisely. Do you wish to try it?" Marcus hesitated. "Will it show me what my sixth-grade gym teacher thought of me? Because that man had opinions." "You may be surprised." He stepped forward, the mirror rippled. His reflection formed, not exact, but warmer, sharper. Older in the eyes, younger in posture, he stared. Valera watched him silently. "That's not me," he said. "That is how others remember you, not your flaws but your presence." He backed away slightly. "That's cheating." "No, it's another kind of truth." He looked at her. "Do you use it?" "Every solstice. It helps me understand how I fail or succeed." He stared again, then turned back to her. "You're not what I expected, you know." "Because I have long ears and crystallize my tears." "No, because you didn't have to let me in here, but you did." "I was curious. Curious if I'd run away screaming. Curious if you'd stay." He exhaled. "I don't get this kind of assignment often. I don't receive this kind of honesty often." There was a long pause. Then Kelliver's voice chimed in. "Excuse me. I have detected a significant rise in emotional sync between the two of you. Shall I initiate coupling protocol?" Marcus's eyes went wide. Valera blinked. Kelliver silence. The gelatinous sphere retreated down a side corridor, muttering in subsonic pulses. Marcus turned back to her. "Do all your navigators double as dating apps?" "Only on slow diplomatic cycles." They laughed. The sound carried through the garden, brushing against pollen and mirrored pathways. Somewhere above, the ship hummed again, curious, watching, waiting. Marcus did not expect a siege alert to sound like an orchestra tripping over a xylophone. The lights shifted abruptly to crimson. The floor vibrated with annoyed urgency, and a wall panel exploded in sparkles rather than sparks. "That's your emergency system?" he asked, ducking slightly. "Is it powered by performance anxiety?" Valera didn't answer right away. Her eyes glowed faintly, an effect that usually meant she was thinking, but Marcus now suspected also signified mild annoyance, potential panic, or perhaps indecision over lunch. "We're being boarded," she said. "Is that like being robbed or just aggressively visited?" The voice of Kelliver chimed in overhead. "Unauthorized life FORMS have breached DECKS 7 through 9. They have very poor shoes. High heel-plated armor is inefficient for a storming operation." "Did we just get insulted by your ship?" "It has opinions," Valera said. already pulling a neural tether from a recessed panel in the wall. She clipped the slender silver filament behind her ear. "Stay close to me." "Are we fighting? Because I have no weapons and a low pain tolerance. You're here for moral support and possibly as a decoy." "Perfect." I knew wearing a brightly colored shirt was a mistake. The corridor lights flickered as the ship sealed off lower access tunnels. The air shifted temperature, a subtle indication of defensive redistribution. The light of Vareth wasn't just alive, it was agitated. "Who would attack a diplomatic vessel?" Marcus asked, jogging beside her as the corridor began to slope downward unnaturally. "Elenthran purists. Fanatics who believe interspecies diplomacy dilutes genetic integrity." "Charming. Do they also have strong feelings about mixed salad greens?" "Probably. Their entire movement is nutritionally rigid." They passed a kinetic field gate just before it sealed. Behind them, an explosion gently disassembled the wall in polite pieces. "Did your ship just politely redirect a detonation?" "It believes in aesthetic." "Stay here. If I don't return in 5 minutes, I override your command and write your biography." "Got it." "Do not write my biography." "No promises." She moved swiftly, disappearing into a branching passage. Marcus turned to the console, which blinked expectantly. "What?" he asked. A small display popped up, text, "Initiate vocal control mode." He shrugged, "Sure." Text, "Sing to continue." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Are you serious?" The console blinked, he sighed. "Fine, a happy birthday to no wait, that's copyrighted." The system hummed once and accepted the input. "Wow, low standards." "Your tone was poor but sufficient," Kelliver added helpfully. Meanwhile, Valera crept through a collapsing corridor, each step matched by soft groans from the ship. She located the final intruder, a figure in ceremonial black armor with glowing veins of ancestral code etched into the plating. "You betray your kind," the intruder said. "I serve them. You cling to the past like a corpse to its memory." They clashed, not with brute force but with harmonic projection, Valera's voice laced with commands that twisted the air, unraveling gravity in bursts. The intruder countered with disruption tones, the kind forbidden by Elenthran law. The ship shrieked around them, not in pain but in fury. Kelliver's voice chimed in Marcus's chamber. Conflict escalating. Probability of fatality rising. Marcus looked around. "Do you have any weapons, distracting holograms, aggressive muffins?" "Deploying maintenance drone, type B3. A small spherical drone emerged. It had a dent, a tiny flag with a smiley face, and a singular welding laser that buzzed like an apologetic bee. "We're going to die," Marcus muttered. Valera struck the intruder with a harmonic pulse that collapsed his resonance shell. He dropped unconscious as the ship absorbed his weapon into its floor with quiet vengeance. She returned to Marcus, breath steady but face unreadable. "It's done." "Good," he said. "Because I was about to deploy a toaster drone with a personality disorder." She raised an eyebrow. "We don't have toaster drones." "Then I definitely found something else." Kelliver spoke again. "Situation stabilized. Ship requires therapy." Marcus turned to Valera. "So, this happen often?" She shook her head. "Only when someone's afraid of what peace might look like." "And what does peace look like to you?" She paused, unfamiliar. He nodded. "To me," he said, "it looks like you walking into that fight and coming back." For the first time since the siege began, she let her shoulders drop. For the first time, she let him see the weight behind her stillness. And neither of them looked away. "Explain again why the archive is upside down," Marcus said, hanging onto a curved handrail that rotated with the platform as if mocking him. "It's not upside down," Valera replied calmly. "It's just built in a localized inversion field." "Right, so the ceiling is the floor, gravity goes sideways, and my stomach is writing its resignation letter." She adjusted a dial on her wrist. The platform steadied slightly. "The archives are arranged along a Möbius loop structure. It allows information to be read forward, backward, and inward." Marcus blinked. Your entire library is a four-dimensional riddle. That's the simplified explanation. They floated past translucent vaults that shimmered with encoded glyphs. Within each one, holographic figures moved in slow spirals, memories captured not as static text, but as experiences. A figure resembling a younger Valera walked past them in one vault, then faded as a crystalline vine coiled protectively around the image. I don't know what's stranger, Marcus said. The fact that your memories are interactive, or that one just smiled at me. She remembers your face. I hadn't even been born yet in that memory. She remembers it anyway. He chose not to pursue that thread. They landed on a rotating disc that looked like it might drift away if startled. Valera stepped forward and placed her hand on a circular console. The vault in front of them unfolded, not with hinges but like a ripple through silk, and a map emerged, glowing with shifting constellations. "This is what I brought you here to see," she said. He studied the map. "Are those trade routes? Possibility strands. If you and I persist, the ship projects a triangulation between our species, not politically, biologically, cognitively. It could open dormant neural paths we've only seen in theory. You're saying our connection might trigger some kind of psychic bridge?" "Yes." He squinted. "I'm just a linguist. I came here to translate idioms, not unlock galaxy-altering brain magic." "You did both. Well, I'm going to have to seriously update my resume." From behind them, a soft buzzing sound signaled the arrival of another presence. Marcus turned to see a jellyfish-like creature drift closer, translucent, bioluminescent, wearing what appeared to be a ceremonial necktie. "Who's this?" "Glorp," Valera said, "the archive's sentiment recording scribe. He documents events involving emotional resonance." "Of course he does." Glorp pulsed and emitted a faint musical tone. "He says you radiate awkward romantic potential," Valera translated. "I get that a lot." The vault around them pulsed again, displaying not maps but symbols, ancient glyphs, a fusion of both Elenthran and Terran linguistic roots. Marcus frowned. "Wait, this one's half Latin, half Elenthran spiral script. It formed after you arrived. Are you saying we created a new language together?" "Not created, reactivated." Valera touched the glyph. It shimmered, expanded, then resolved into a ceremonial binding matrix. "Is this what I think it is?" "Yes, it's the precursor to the star bond, a theoretical rite we've never been able to complete." Marcus looked at the floating symbols, then at her. "And what happens if we do?" "The link becomes permanent. Not emotional, psychic, shared memories, thoughts, even dreams." "That's intense." "It was forbidden for centuries." "Why?" "Because it works." They stood in silence for a long moment, surrounded by drifting light and history. Then Glorp burbled a questioning note. "No," Valera said gently, "not yet." Marcus nodded, exhaling. "Good, because I haven't even gotten you coffee yet." "Coffee, Earth's most cherished bonding ritual." "I thought that was dancing while intoxicated." "That's second, coffee's the first." She turned back to the map. "There's more." He followed her gaze. New strands appeared, lines between species previously thought incompatible. An algorithm beneath the map pulsed a message, cross-species empathy metrics increasing. "You're changing us," he said softly. "So are you." A gentle tremor moved through the archive. Marcus glanced around. "That's not just metaphorical, right?" "No, that's the diplomatic subgrid going live again. The Summit Council is reconvening. They've discovered what happened aboard the ship." "Do they know I stayed?" "They do now." Marcus straightened. "Am I in trouble?" "Officially, no, but unofficially they'll ask questions." "Let me guess, starting with, did you or did you not bond with the queen of a highly advanced neural civilization in the middle of a security incident?" "Roughly that, yes." He rubbed his face. "I am going to need a lot of coffee." They began making their way out of the archive. Glorp followed. "Is he coming too?" "He follows emotional arcs until they conclude. Then he's going to be very disappointed." My emotional arc usually ends with awkward silence and an overcooked pasta dinner. Valera gave him a sideways look. I doubt that. They stepped onto the exit platform. The archive shimmered behind them, folding itself shut like a dream remembered halfway through waking. Marcus looked at her. So what now? She met his gaze. Now we see if the rest of the galaxy is ready to look where we're already standing. The platform began to rise, taking them back toward the world above. I'm not great with speeches, he said. I am. Then maybe I'll stand next to you quietly, looking supportive. That might be enough. The lift passed through a layer of light and Glorp hummed a triumphant chord. The bond had not been spoken, but it had begun. The summit chamber on Ecliptica 9 had been rebuilt twice since the attack, once for structural integrity, once for aesthetic balance. The third version featured floating seats that glowed with emotional feedback, and a diplomatic podium that attempted to harmonize each speaker's tone for maximum audience receptivity. Marcus hated it instantly. They're going to filter my voice into something noble, aren't they? He muttered. Valera didn't look at him. Only if you speak. Good, I've prepared a strong silence. The chamber filled with delegates, Elenthran nobles, Terran representatives. The gelatinous archivists from Maathvi who applauded telepathically. Even Glorp floated at the back, wearing a sash that read emotional witness. The Earth ambassador cleared her throat. Dr. Halliday, if you'd like to explain why you remained on the Queen's ship after the mandated evacuation. I like libraries, Marcus said. A pause. That's your answer. They have the best seating and the fewest guns. A diplomat from Vierx Prime leaned forward. You were found deep inside Elenthran archives, standing next to the Queen during a neural event that registered on 5 diplomatic sensors. Valera stepped forward. The event was consensual and unbonded. Another pause, this one longer. Unbonded, asked a floating translator orb. It did not reach formal psychic entanglement, Valera clarified, but the potential was measurable. The Vierxian shook its tendrils. So you're saying it almost happened? Marcus raised a hand. If it helps, I didn't know I was about to become part of an ancient interspecies empathy circuit until the walls started blinking Morse code at me. That was not Morse code, Valera said. Then my panic translated it retroactively. Whispers filled the room. The human first delegate stood. Regardless of intention, Earth now appears entangled in a cultural rite it doesn't understand. Marcus sighed. We've been entangled in cultural rites we don't understand since we invented forks. The delegate scowled. This is not the time for jokes. It's the exact time for jokes, Marcus said. You want an answer, fine. I stayed because I wasn't done listening. I stayed because she let me see parts of her world we weren't supposed to see. Not because I'm a spy or a hero, but because I was curious. And being curious used to be part of diplomacy, not a threat. Valera tilted her head. You also stayed because the ship wouldn't release your boots. That too. He stepped forward. I'm not proposing policy. I'm not proposing marriage. I'm saying we found a bridge between minds. It happened. It's real. And maybe, just maybe, that's worth more than another 10 hours of debating Clause 5 subsection 9. Silence. Then the Terran ambassador leaned into her mic. Earth formally proposes a new research initiative, cross-cognitive empathic pathways. The Vierxian delegate blinked in agreement. The Elenthran nobles nodded, slow and uncertain, but not resistant. Glorp played a soft victory melody in D minor. After the summit adjourned, Marcus sat on the edge of the viewport, watching stars rotate in their stubborn, dignified way. Valera approached, holding 2 mugs of something steaming and faintly luminous. You bribed the synthesis module for this, he asked. I told it we were emotionally overdue. He took a sip. It tastes like peppermint and poor decisions. Then it chose well. They sat in silence, stars stretching endlessly. Glorp is staying on Earth, she said eventually. Of course he is. He wants to study brunch. He says it contains 27 expressions of vulnerability. He's not wrong. She turned to him. You changed something, not just in them, in me. He nodded, same here. Still want to write my biography? I'm thinking something between academic essay and space opera, with footnotes. Her ears flicked once, then I'll allow it. The ship dimmed the lights around them, not for stealth, just for peace. Neither of them moved to fill the silence. They just sat, side by side, not touching, not linked, but connected all the same.